At the end of last week, it was the NFL draft, and several Gamecocks got picked up in the first 7 rounds of it. 5, to be exact, all defensive players. Now, throughout the entire draft this year, there's a whole lot of talk about guys going earlier or later than what was expected. Jared, from the 5 guys from South Carolina who had their names called in the draft this year, who stuck out to you as maybe being surprising of where and when they went?
I mean, obviously, Nick Emmanwori was a little surprising. I thought he was a first rounder, slid a little, pick 35 overall. That's not a huge slide. Almost day one, so that's not really a big deal. But Kyle Kennard sliding to round 4, that shocked me. I really did not expect that slide. I mean, he was one of the best defensive linemen in the entire country, and he won the awards to show that. So for someone like him to have such a stellar season and then slide to round 4, I mean, the Chargers got a steal. That is an absolute value pick at round 4, and I really think he is a pro guy that's going to do really well. So if I'm the Chargers, I'm not upset about him sliding to me, in round 4, and you're not going to have to pay him as much as a round 1 guy, at least for these first couple years. So that's a steal on their end, but I was surprised he went more than 100 picks without anyone saying, hey, this guy's still on the board, right?
Yeah, like I said, I think there were a couple moves throughout the first couple rounds of the draft that had people raising some eyebrows. But if you look at the draft as a whole this year compared to last year, there was a lot that was different. And for different reasons, I don't know if either one was necessarily an anomaly. It was just different. Yeah. And it does differ every year depending on what these teams are looking for. So if you look at last year in the first round, the first 12 picks, 6 quarterbacks went.
Yeah.
This year, first 12 picks, 1 quarterback went. So it's just a difference of what teams are looking for from year to year. But let's go down the list and take a look at where those 5 Gamecocks went in the draft. So Nick Emmanwori, he went first for the Gamecocks. He was selected in the 2nd round, 35th overall. He's going to the Seattle Seahawks. TJ Sanders, picked up by the Buffalo Bills in 2nd round, 41st overall. The Bills traded up to be able to get him. Demetrius Knight Jr., picked by the Bengals, 49th overall, 2nd round. And like you said, Kyle Kennard, 4th round, 125th pick overall, but he's going to the Chargers. Tonka Hemingway going to the Raiders, 135th pick in the 4th round. And there have been a handful of others that have either been signed as undrafted free agents, or a lot have gotten some camp invites. And so that just really speaks to how the program here at South Carolina prepares these guys for the next level. We were just talking about in basketball how Kim Mulkey over at LSU and Dawn Staley, they make these kids pro ready. And I think you can say the same thing about Gamecock football, especially for the defensive side of the ball. The 5 guys to go in the draft itself, all defensive players. And I had the chance to talk to Jack Veltri last week before the draft. He's from Gamecock Central, about what it says that these guys are getting picked up and pro ready, and what kind of coaching staff they have here at South Carolina.
I think there's a lot of different ways you can go about. Obviously, you mentioned the all SEC honors. That says a lot, because you're playing, I think, it's fair to say that the SEC is one of the premier conferences, if not the premier conference in college football, because you're going up against NFL caliber players every single weekend in this conference. And South Carolina, gets to go up against schools like Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, really good teams in this conference. There's so many more, obviously, every single week, and they're making big plays. And, it's reflected in the year that they had last season. Now, a lot of that goes back to the coaching, Shane Beamer recruiting them to come here. But also, you look at different position coaches, like Torian Gray has done a heck of a job. It seems like every single year he's getting guys to the NFL. Like, it's going to be Nick Emmanwori this year. I would imagine O'Donnell Fortune will be picked somewhere probably in the later rounds, but he'll be drafted. There's a lot of different talents over the years with the different position coaches, and it says a lot about what Clayton White has done as the defensive coordinator at South Carolina, and what you're seeing now with the offense and a few guys that could be drafted on that side of the ball. So it's a very talented team that they had last year. And a lot of that goes back to the accolades that they racked up in the offseason, and then also just the years they had with the talented coaches they have coaching them.